The White House is panicking. Donald Trump's approval ratings are crashing and they're not stopping anytime soon. Why? What's driving the drop, and why does this matter to you? This isn't just another polling dip. It's a signal, a sign that the ground beneath his support is starting to shake. The next few weeks could completely flip the political landscape. But here's the catch. No one's asking the real questions. No one's talking about why this is all happening. Trust me, when you see the facts behind this, you'll understand why everything feels like it's about to change. Stay with me, because once you see it, you won't be able to look at this the same way again. This isn't just about a slip in Trump's numbers. It's part of something much bigger. Over the last week, his approval has dropped 4 points, and it's showing no signs of stopping. But why? What's happening behind these numbers? It's not just about policy missteps or partisan attacks. It's about a pattern that's been building for years, and now it's reaching a tipping point. You see, Trump isn't just facing opposition from the left anymore. Right-wing voices are starting to turn on him. What's driving them away? It's not just the usual political drama. This is something more, something deeper. What if the very people who once stood by him are now the ones pulling back? This is about more than just one politician. It's about the entire political system and what's slipping through the cracks. And trust me, it's getting ugly. Here's the claim: the White House is scrambling, and it's not just because of a bad poll. There's a deeper, more troubling shift happening. Right-wing figures, the people who helped push Trump's rise, are starting to publicly turn on him, and they're not holding back. Take the Epstein files, for example. Trump's refusal to address the growing questions about his connections to Epstein has raised serious concerns, but it's more than that. These figures are also furious about his handling of immigration, specifically the way his administration has militarized ICE and Border Patrol forces. It's not just a political issue anymore, it's personal. These aren't just critics from the left. These are people who once believed in Trump. Now, they're calling him out. But here's what they're not saying. Why are they turning on him now? And what does it mean for the future? There's something deeper at play here. But this isn't just a story of one man's fall from grace. What's happening here is part of a much larger, more dangerous shift. Think back to how quickly things escalated in 2020 when Trump's rhetoric and his power grabs started to blur the lines between politics and authoritarianism. Now, we're seeing it again, but on a grander scale. The White House is pushing harder, and the pushback is getting fiercer. Trump's people are now openly defending tactics that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. ICE and Border Patrol agents marching through cities like armed forces, not law enforcement. And here's the scary part. This isn't a temporary blip. This is becoming normalized. What was once an isolated incident is now creeping into the fabric of our politics. And it's not just a few bad apples, it's a pattern that's taking hold. Where does it end? That's the real question we need to ask. Now let's get into something even more unsettling. Caroline Leavitt, Trump's chief spokesperson, recently claimed that Trump has defeated Biden's inflation crisis. Inflation? Defeated? Let's stop right there. The facts tell a different story. In reality, inflation is still a major issue for millions of Americans. And here's the kicker. Leavitt's claim about prescription drug prices dropping 500%, that's flat out false. No one in the healthcare industry is seeing a 500% drop, yet the White House keeps doubling down, feeding false narratives to the public. This is more than just spin. It's a pattern of misinformation that is deliberately misleading people about the real impact of Trump's policies. But here's where this flips the script. This strategy isn't just about winning points. It's about eroding trust in the system itself. And it's working. But here's what's missing. Why are they lying? And what does this say about the future of our democracy? The pressure is mounting fast. First, you've got the right wing turning against Trump. Then his team pushes false claims about inflation and drug prices. But that's not all. Just yesterday, Trump made a statement suggesting we may not even need elections anymore. Seriously, he joked about canceling future elections, saying it might be better if he just stays in power. It's absurd, right? But here's the catch. His spokesperson defended it, claiming it was all just a joke. This is where things get dangerous. When you have a leader joking about canceling elections, the line between reality and authoritarian fantasy starts to blur. And then there's the heavy-handed tactics in cities, armed agents on the streets, terrorizing communities. If this continues, it's no longer a joke. It's a crisis, but it gets worse. These are not isolated incidents. They're part of a growing pattern that could reshape the way we view power in this country. This isn't just a political chess game anymore. This is real life for everyday people. Imagine this: peaceful protests in your city, people simply exercising their right to speak out, and then boom, armed ICE and Border Patrol agents storming the streets, throwing tear gas at civilians. You think this is just some headline, but for many, this is their reality. People in Illinois, Minnesota, Chicago, they've felt this firsthand. Citizens are being terrorized in their own neighborhoods, and all for standing up to what they believe in. But here's where you come in, because this isn't just about others. This affects you. As the stakes get higher, the fear becomes real. How long until the powers that be start turning their eyes on your community? These aren't just distant headlines. These are tactics that hit home. And if it feels familiar, you're not alone. Comment below. Let's talk about what this means for the future of your civil rights. Now let's zoom out. This isn't just a series of bad decisions or bad luck. This is how power works. The system is rigged in a way that allows this kind of behavior to fester. Think about it. Why are we seeing more and more heavy-handed tactics in the streets? Why are we hearing about military-like operations in cities across the U.S.? The answer isn't as simple as Trump is just a bad president. It's about leverage, about who has the power to control the narrative, who controls the resources, and who stands to gain when the status quo stays intact. And right now, the system is built to maintain that control. Fear is a tool, and so is spectacle. The more chaos they create, the more they can push their agenda, even when it's unpopular. The question is, who's actually pulling the strings behind all of this? And why is it so easy for them to manipulate the truth and distract the public from the real issues? This isn't just politics. It's the machinery of power at work, and we're all caught in the gears. Here's where it gets uncertain. We're standing at a crossroads, and there are two paths ahead. One path is where this authoritarian shift continues. More control, more fear, more manipulation, and the people who are supposed to hold power accountable, they're either too scared to stand up or too complicit to act. On this path, we see more of what we've already seen: growing unrest, increasing division, and more attempts to silence dissent. But there's another path, a path where enough people stand up, where the pressure from the public forces the system to recalibrate. We've seen it before: citizens pushing back, courts stepping in, people refusing to accept a future that's not theirs to control. But the real question is, which path will we take? Will we keep sliding down this slope of authoritarian tactics, or will we rise up and reclaim the power that's rightfully ours? One thing's for sure: the next move is already in motion. Here's the final truth that changes everything. The battle we're facing right now isn't just about one person, one policy, or one scandal. It's about the survival of our democracy. Right now, we're watching the erosion of basic freedoms, the normalization of fear, and the weakening of the very system that guarantees our rights. If we don't pay attention, it might just slip away. The next few months, they're crucial. The choices we make today will determine the future of our nation. And as we move forward, one thing is crystal clear: if we don't act now, we might lose everything we fought for. Want to stay plugged into what's happening? Hit that follow button, subscribe, and join the conversation. This isn't over yet. There's more to uncover, and we'll be here to break it down.